Sir, recording is now started.
Okay. Just to give me a minute, though.
Sure, sir, sure.
Okay.
Take your time.
Okay. Okay, guys. Good evening to all. Am I audible to
Yes,
all?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want the answer from the participants, students. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Okay, good. Is my screen visible to all clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you see? Can you read what is there on the screen? Can someone read what is there on the screen?
Writing skills, important ground.
What is there on this?
Welcome to day 4 writing skills.
Okay, very good. Very good. Beautiful. Nice. Fantastic. Okay. So, can someone tell me what did we learn yesterday?
Tenses, sir.
Tenses, and then
Rules of
before
articles.
tenses. Huh?
Rules of articles.
Rules of articles. Okay. And then
Subject verb agreement.
beautiful. Great. Subject verb agreement. Right? And then okay, fine. Let us not waste the time. It's already 5:15. So yesterday we learned about the rules of articles and then the sentence. What is a sentence? What are the parts of the sentence? And then we went to learn what is the agreement and then the subject verb agreement. Why the subject and verb should agree. And then we proceeded to the tenses and we did few tenses, right? Okay. Today we'll be going a bit more with the little bit more rather important grammar aspects and the writing skills. That would be the tenses and the aspects, certain important rules of grammar, and task 1 writing tips would be given, and later you would be given an assignment to do the task 1. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, amazing. Okay, so yesterday I described about the basic formulae for the tenses, right? Yesterday we did all this, did we or did we not? All the tenses and aspects did we cover? Yes. Why don't you speak, my dear kids? What is the difficulty in speaking? For me, it looks like as if I am shouting in a closed room for myself. If it doesn't respond, if you are not coming on the camera. Okay, for one, the mic might not be working. What about others? Out of 10 people, one mic is not working. What about the rest of the 8?
Network issue, sir, here.
So, for network issue, you can't talk also.
Sir,
Okay, I can agree that if you come on the video, your bandwidth may get hampered, but at least you can open your mic, unmute and speak.
Speaking, sir.
I cannot just do it in a dumb class. It will be as if I'm shouting like a mad person inside the room if you are not interacting.
Guys, it's been the fifth day today, and many of you do not interact. So we want the interaction in IELTS as well and into GRE too. Because why we seek your interaction is the reason because whenever you'll speak something out, that
You
means
can do it,
you'll be
Mangala.
able.
You can leave the meeting and join again. No issues. Yes,
That
please continue.
means we will be able to understand whether you are understanding the topics or not. So, and for that reason, one is asking you to speak up. Please speak if you understand anything,
Yes, ma'am.
or even if you do not. That would be easier for us also to understand what is your need and what are we going to provide you.
If I close my camera, would you like to be there in the class? I'll close my camera, I'll mute my camera and take the class. Would you be interested to be there in the class? How many of you would be interested?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Then why don't you come on the camera? Why don't you unmute yourself? Why are you keeping yourself muted? I'm telling you from day one, don't mute. Unmute your mic, unmute your camera.
Hello? Hello?
So that, yes, please.
Sir, I mean speaker. If I speak also, you will not hear, sir, because I'm a speaker.
Now I'm very clearly hearing you, Ravi.
Yes, sir. Now I left the speaker, then I speaking, sir. You. Because
Okay,
my
fine, no
nearby
issues.
around sound is TV sound is coming.
Okay, no issues. At least when you answer, you can unmute and answer. Am I right?
Oh, okay, sir. I will try.
If all of you are muting your mic, muting your camera, Mangala, what happened again? You see, if it doesn't talk, it doesn't looks good at all for me. Did we learn this? How many tenses are there and how many aspects are there? Can someone tell me? Unmute yourself. Every one of you unmute yourself. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic and speak.
3 tenses, 12 aspects.
3 tenses and 4 aspects, not 12 aspects. So 4 aspects to each tense. Then total it will come as 12. Okay. If you do like this, I will run through the slides. If you are not replying, if you are not on the camera, I will run through
Sir,
the
can you
slides.
explain aspects? I don't know, sir.
I'll just show the slides, read what is there in the slide and go to the next slide.
Okay, sir.
Read it, go to the next slide. Read it, go to the next slide, and I will finish a class of 90 minutes in 9 minutes. Is that okay for you guys?
No, sir.
Then you have to interact. You have to unmute. Only I'll talk when all of you unmute yourself. Till then, I'll not be speaking a single word. I don't want any of the mic to be muted. Come on the camera. How many of you can come on the camera? Please do come on the camera. Who is having the bandwidth issue? That's fine. Those who are having a good bandwidth can come on the camera. Okay, aspects. So, Ravi Kumar, you are asking about the aspects. So tenses, as all of you know that, that's the present tense, past tense, and the future tense, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, there are 4 aspects in English. That is the simple, then comes the continuous, the third aspect is the perfect, and the fourth one is the perfect continuous. These four aspects, when applied to all the three tenses, that is present, past, and the future, they will become as 12 aspects. It will be like simple present, simple past, simple future, present continuous, past continuous, and future continuous. Finally, it will be present perfect, past perfect, future perfect. Then present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, and future perfect continuous. This way, it will total, we will be framing the sentences or we will be talking in English in these 12 different aspects. Right? So, to frame the sentences in these 12 different aspects, yesterday I had given you a very simple formula for each and every aspect of each and every tense. How many of you have noted it down? Yes, Mangala, good. And Shantala has raised the hand. Okay. Ashwini, fine, great, very nice. Okay. So 3 of you have noted it down. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
All of you unmute yourself first. Unmute your mic. Don't raise your hand.
Yes, sir.
Lower your hand and unmute yourself. Lower your hand. Unmute. Speak.
Yes, sir.
Ashwini, lower your hand. Shanta, lower your hand. Click on the same icon, that raise hand option, it will get lowered. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Shanta, yes, good, great, beautiful. So that's how. Rest, if you are not noted it down, you can take it down now. Right? So here the for simple, whether it is present or past or future, whenever we make a sentence in a simple present tense or a simple past tense or simple future tense, the formula would be subject plus action verb, which would be, if it is simple present and simple future, it would be V1. If it is simple past, it would be V2 plus the object. If it is a continuous tense, then it would be subject plus the auxiliary verb. It can be is, am, or was, were. Then the action verb in the ing form or V4 plus the object. If you want to note it down, you can note it down, or if you want to take a pic of it, take a pic of it and keep. It will be very handy for you to frame the sentences. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Shall I move ahead? Have you taken the pic or noted it down?
Taken pic, sir.
Okay, great. Shall I go ahead to the
Yes,
next
sir.
slide?
Yes, sir.
Fine.
Yes.
Beautiful. Then, how the perfect tense is framed? For the perfect tenses, the formula would be subject, that is a noun or a pronoun, plus the auxiliary verb, either a have or a has or had. Have is used for future tense for all the persons, first person, second person, and third person, both in singular and plural cases. but has is used only in the present tense. That is, when the subject is third person singular or an independent noun. Say, for example, as it is given here, she has read that in the newspaper. Or I can say Shanta has read that in the newspaper. Ravi has read that in the newspaper. When you take someone's name or some other singular independent noun, then it becomes a third person singular. Then had again is used only for all the past tenses, whether it is past tense of whatever the thing it is, though had is used. So it will become as she had read that. Then the perfect continuous. So in the perfect continuous again, the subject plus the auxiliary verb. Plus the be verb. The auxiliary verb can be have, had, or has. Be verb, it would be been. Then the action verb again in the ing form or the V4 form, plus the object again, which can be a noun or a pronoun. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
great,
Clear.
fine. So then, what are the some important rules that one has to keep in mind for writing an essay in any English language test exam, whether it is IELTS or TOEFL or PT or any competitive exams? When you are writing an essay in the English language, then you have to keep these things in mind. First and foremost thing is the subject verb agreement. See to it that both the subject and the verb agrees with one another. If the subject is third person singular or an independent noun, then the verb must also be in the singular form. That means yes would be added to the verb. Right? At the same time, you will have to keep in mind the syntax. That is, the subject and the verb should be agreeing to carry out the action that is specified in that particular verb. Like the other day, I had given you an example. The cat is reading the book. It is grammatically correct, but there is a syntax error in that, because cat cannot read the book. Does it gives the clarity? Are you all understanding or not?
Yes, sir. Understanding, sir.
Pooja,
Yes, sir. Understand.
understanding? Okay, great. Then you have to keep in mind that the articles cannot be used for any singular proper noun. Any singular proper noun, and also articles cannot be used for any uncountable nouns. Then, whenever we use an article, if the nouns or the proper nouns are in a group, like the United States of America, the United Kingdom, Netherlands, the Greenlands, right? If the proper noun is in plural, then the definite article the must be used. It is a mandate, compulsory. If it doesn't use, then the sentence is grammatically wrong. Just for not adding the article, your entire sentence gets cancelled or rejected, by which you will lose the marks for the entire words that you have written in that. If you have written 7 or 8 words in that particular sentence and you have forgotten to mention the definite article in front of a plural proper noun, then all the 7 words will be dejected, not plus 1 mistake in the sentence. That means you have made 8 mistakes. That's how the correction or the valuation goes on in the IELTS or TOEFL or PT. For one small mistake, you will lose the words, and for every repeated words, if you are not using the synonyms, again you will lose the marks in the same way. And then the third is that the articles must be always used before you mention any water resources like wells or lakes or rivers, seas, oceans, or the mountains or the gut sections, all these things. Keep it in mind. A proper noun means a definite name given to a person or a place, should always begin with a capital letter. It is a LKG thing, what we would have learned. But normally, most of us do make this mistake because we are used to text the messages in the WhatsApp or in the FB Messenger, so on and so forth, wherein the autocorrection is there. You never have tried to key in the capital letters. That's where most of us, even in writing, we do the mistake. Then, if the noun is in plural means except the proper noun. Except proper noun, if any other noun is in plural form, then no articles should be used. You must not use an article there. Then you cannot start a sentence beginning with a conjunction or a preposition. Of course, you can write a sentence beginning with a preposition or a conjunction in the colloquial speaking pattern. In the speaking pattern, when you are giving an answer wherein that sentence is again a truncated sentence, it cannot be a full sentence. Right? Are you getting it? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Verbs and prepositions can't be used twice continuously in a sentence. At the same time, if the helping verbs are in the past tense, again the action verb cannot be used in the same tense. That means in the past tense itself. It should be in the present tense. Say, for example, I did, went will be wrong. I did, wrote yesterday. It is wrong. After using the helping verb in the past tense, the action verb should be in the present tense, that is in the V1 form. That is, I did write yesterday. I did go yesterday. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Then, there are certain sub rules that you have to keep in mind. Certain prepositions also has dual functions, unlike the verbs and the nouns. Unlike the verbs and the nouns. Say, for example, the other day I had given you, I'll go for a walk in the morning. So here, walk, though it is an action verb, it is serving as an object. That is the noun. Now here the verb has become a subject noun. Walk has become a subject noun. I am very clearly telling here, in the same way, certain prepositions also can be used as conjunctions. Then prepositions are always used between two nouns or pronouns, or a noun and a pronoun, or a pronoun and a noun. That means it is used between a subject and an object, though it can follow a verb in certain cases, but still it defines the position of the object, which is a noun again, or a pronoun. Don't get confused between the subject, preposition and the conjunction. The reason being, preposition always used between two nouns. It cannot be used between two verbs or two adjectives or two different things. Just a minute, please excuse me. Sorry, friends, I had to go to help my wife and son come inside the house. So just excuse me for that. I'm sorry for that. Right? A conjunction can be used with any of the words, whether it can be two nouns or one noun and a verb, or two pronouns or two adjectives or two adverbs. That's why in the definition it says prepositions link two nouns, or they connect two nouns, or they build up the relationship between two nouns only. It cannot link any other words other than the noun. Whereas a conjunction, it joins, it never links, it joins. It can be any two words, or any two sentences or even any two clauses. Any two clauses. Clauses means any two different actions or any two different varieties of sentences it can join. For example, I love cricket, but I play football. Right? Playing cricket is a different class and playing football is another class. But you can join both these classes here. I'm good at mathematics, but I love history. So this is how a conjunction can join two different classes as well. Is it making sense or you have any doubt?
No, sir. No doubts.
No doubts.
No doubt.
Everyone?
No
No
doubt,
doubt.
sir.
No, sir.
No. That means you're all good in grammar. Great. Fantastic. Again, the next thing is if the subject is third person singular or an independent singular noun, then ES or IAS or S is added to the action verb only in the simple present tense. That means it is a subject verb agreement clause when the subject is singular, third person or an independent noun, the verb should also be in singular form, for which we have to add S or IAS or ES. The last one I told you in the beginning, certain verbs function as noun at times like work, walk, etc. Also, certain auxiliary verbs can also function as an action verb. Say, for example, be, been, have, had, all these things. Right? Sometimes be carries the meaning of come. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I will be there in 10 minutes. So here the word be, the auxiliary verb be, is representing the action verb come. I'll come in 10 minutes. I had been to a movie. So here the auxiliary verb been is representing another action verb, that is go. I had been to the movie means I had gone to a movie. In the same way, have and had can be replaced for certain action verbs like eat, drink, take, buy or purchase. I will have that dress for me. Means I'll take that dress for me, or I will buy that dress for me. I will purchase that dress for me. I will have a late lunch. That means I will eat my lunch late. I will have late lunch today. That means I'll take my lunch, I'll eat my lunch late. So these are certain things that we have to keep it in mind. We should never forget these things. This is where most of the time in the reading skills, people lose their band because not able to understand this dual functions of certain verbs, certain nouns, or certain pronouns or conjunctions. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any doubts here in the rules or sub-rules? Want to clarify anything? Okay. How many of you have submitted the assignment that was given yesterday?
Submitted, sir.
Only Ravi Kumar has submitted.
Sir,
I got only Ravi
Submitted,
Kumar's,
sir.
no one else. And I replied to Ravi Kumar yesterday itself. Am I right, Ravi Kumar? Okay, Ashwini has sent, Mangala has. Why are you raising your hands? I won't reply if you raise the hands.
yes, sir, submitted.
Unmute your mic and speak.
See,
Pardon me, Kanna?
submitted, sir, assignment.
When did you submit?
Yes, sir.
Yesterday.
Today
Huh?
I submitted, sir.
What time?
Maybe it's 1:30, sir.
1:30. Okay. Mangala, when did you submit, Papa?
Sir, yesterday.
Yesterday. I didn't see. I have not received any notifications for that. Mithali, did you get any notifications for them? I got Ravi Kumar's and I immediately replied him. Pooja,
No, sir.
why no, sir?
Today I will submit, sir.
Today I am giving you different assignment. Well, whether you will submit that or submit this. I am giving the answer for yesterday's assignment now. Okay, right. I had told you, that's why I gave you the assignment. If you can, find out the answer for that. Right, what was the question? Can anyone of you tell me what was the question in the assignment, excepting Mithali? What was the question yesterday I gave?
Rules of articles.
Okay, very good.
When and
Where,
what?
in what situation we use can, shall, and may?
Okay, very good, beautiful. Okay, both Mangala, Ashwini, have you both submitted the answers for that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now Ashwini will tell me when can is used. If you have submitted the answer.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Prana. Oh, come on the camera, da.
Sir, I had network issues, sir. It's raining here.
Oh. Okay, come on, tell me. When can is used, under what circumstance or the situation can is used for request, for making a request or seeking a permission? Tell me, Papa. Ashwini.
Yes, sir.
Hedu Mago.
It's used to ask or give permission. Means, can I help you?
Okay, under what circumstances? ಯಾವ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಬಳಸ್ತೇವೆ? ಯಾವ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಬಳಸ್ತೇವೆ?
Can I tell, sir?
I will tell, but if you want to tell Mangala Kanna. Tell beta.
Sir, to request and to offer permission.
That is fine. I do understand. What I am asking is, under what circumstance or under what situation or under what condition we use these three. Permission is right, Ravi Kumar. I do agree. Permission is the context. I am asking you the situation. Pooja, can you answer?
No, sir.
Yes, sir. Then tell me, sir.
Request.
Request, permission, possibility, they are the context. Under these contexts, we use them. They all are used under the same context. I have given you only two contexts, that is seeking permission or requesting, or to make a request or seek a permission. Under these two contexts, when or under what circumstance these three can be used? Because the function of all the three modal verbs, that is shall, can, and may, are the same. Say, for example, people drink cow's milk. Do they drink or not? Cow milk.
Yes,
Drink,
sir.
sir.
Unmute. Everybody, every one of you unmute. They will drink, na?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. They will drink buffalo milk. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. People also drink sheep milk. Am I right or wrong?
Right, sir.
Right. Okay. People also drink camel milk. Am I right or wrong? Camel's milk. Do people drink camel's milk or not? ಮಂಗಳ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಕೊಡಕ್ ಮುಂಚೆ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಂಗಳ. Tell me, will people drink camel's milk or not? Only two answers. If it is yes, tell me yes. If it is no, tell me no.
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir.
No. Okay, Pooja says no. Ashwini, what do you say? Don't know. You brought in the third answer. Great. Okay, Ravi Kumar says no. Mangala, what do you say, Papa?
I also don't know, sir.
You also don't know. Okay, let me ask Mithali. Mithali, are you there? No, she's not there. Who else is there? Can I see? We're all there. Okay. Fine. Shanta?
Don't know, sir.
Don't know, sir. Okay, very good. Bichari. Pooja gave the answer in the first and she got. Okay. People do drink camel milk also. People do drink camel's milk also. People, those who live in the deserts. People, those who live in the deserts also drink camel's milk. But it cannot be preserved. Here the circumstance. This is what the circumstance is or the situation is. A camel's milk cannot be preserved beyond 30 minutes. Unlike the cow's milk or the buffalo's milk, where it can be preserved for 1 day. Or if there is a refrigerator, you can use it even on the second day also. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. But a sheep milk, you can preserve it only for a half day. You cannot preserve it for the whole day. So this is called as a circumstance or the situation. Camel's milk should be drunk the moment it is milked. Otherwise, it will get spoiled. Okay, now, do you know under what circumstances we can use can, may, and shall? Who can answer this question now? Right. All of you are not knowing it. I'll let you know now. Keep it in mind going forward when you go for the on-site speaking skills test. If you are taking IELTS or TOEFL or PT or even any UPSC or even banking exam or any other GMAT or SMAT, whatever the MAT exam you are taking. So when you get in for the face-to-face interview, that is the speaking test or the interactive test. That time it comes very handy for you all, right? Okay. So we use shall other than as a auxiliary verb with the first person is used with most known or close persons. When we interact with most close person or most very well known people. Say for example, Pooja is a very close friend of mine, or Pooja is my daughter, or Pooja is a daughter of my very close friend whom we are all very family friends. We know each other very well. That time, if I have to get some work done from Pooja, say for example, going to the shop nearby and getting a couple of chocolates. So when I have to seek the help from Pooja, I will say, Pooja Beti,
Sir.
shall you go and fetch some chocolates? This is why whenever it is also used when we are, say for example, now Pooja is working in an office which is run by her father, right? Pooja is also in a highly designated place and her father is the managing director or MD of that organization. But because Pooja might be a CEO there, that is Chief Executive Officer. Because Pooja is the daughter of MD, she simply cannot get into his cabin without seeking permission. So there, she will knock the door and ask permission by saying, "Shall I come in?" And in the same way, even the MD, that is Pooja's father, when comes into the CEO's cabin, that is Pooja's cabin, he'll also ask, knock the door and ask, "Shall I come in?" But the same thing, I am another employee there. I am also in a very highly designated place. Say, for example, I am the CAO there, that is Chief Administrative Officer. If I have to get into either Pooja's cabin or Pooja's father, that is MD's cabin, I cannot ask, "Shall I come in?" I cannot seek the permission by asking, "Shall I come in?" Because I am not very close or I'm not a very well known, I might be a very well known person, but I'm not very close. I'm an employee and they are the owners. That time I'll seek the permission by saying, "Can I come in?" It is not neither shall I come in or may I come in. That means within the department, within an organization, whenever we seek it, we will say it, can I? That's why in most of the, if you remember in schools and colleges, whenever you get into the class, you would have asked, can I come in, ma'am? Can I come in, sir? Like that. You never used, may I come in or shall I come in? In the same way, may is used with an unknown person. It is used with an unknown person or a very senior designated person or a high level designated person. For example, which I was saying, Pooja's father is the MD of the company and I am an employee in that company. I am just a admin there. I'm just an admin. I'm an admin executive. But when I was a CAO, that is Chief Administrative Officer. See the difference. When I was the Chief Administrative Officer, I sought permission by saying, can I come in? But now I am not a CAO, but I am just a simple admin, an admin executive, say a clerk or a HR or something like that. Then I cannot use can I come in also. Then I have to seek the permission by saying, may I come in? That is the reason you would have gone to many banks, airports, railway stations, or even in certain bus terminals. You see the board as, may I help you? Nowhere you see the board as, can I help you or shall I help you? May I help you? You would have seen this. Have you seen this anywhere? Unmute. My dear kiddos.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
So that is the reason whenever you go find nowhere, you will find shall I help you or can I help you? Wherever you go, you find the board as may I help you. Because they would be helping to the people, those who are not at all known to them. That is unknown people. Now you got to know under what circumstances we can use these 3 modal verbs for seeking permission or making requests,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us come to the actual topic, that is of the writing tips for task 1 for academics. The structure of writing task 1 for academic is based on report writing and not on essay writing. You will be writing a report on a given topic or a given circumstance or a given pictorial or a graph. You have to organize all the information into a logical order, right? And divide it into different paragraphs. That's what I told you. Whenever you write task 1 or task 2, it should be divided into 3 major parts. The first major part is what?
Introduction.
Very good. Beautiful, Mangala. Introduction. The second one?
Main body.
Main body. Beautiful. Very good. Great. And the third?
Conclusion.
Conclusion. Whereas the introduction and the conclusion, that is the last part. The first part and the last part will comprise of single paragraph, 1 paragraph. Right? But the main body can comprise of 2 or 3 or 4 paragraphs. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is what is called as the structure of writing. This is known as the structure of writing. Structure means dividing the entire writing into different paragraphs with different concepts. The first concept is introduction. That means introduction to the question. That is what is being asked for, or what the details is given, or what data is given. That is the introduction part. Elaborating those things with logical descriptions becomes the main body, which can be up to 2 to 3 paragraphs. Then finally concluding your writing or your thought process becomes the third part. So when you differentiate these things in different stages, this is called as the structuring of a writing. You need not write the heading, introduction, then main body, third, conclusion. You need not write. But what you do is you separate the paragraphs. Can you see here? You see, I have put serial number 1, 2, 3. So this means first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph. This way you have to separate the paragraphs. That's what the structure of a writing is. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then there are 4 main paragraphs that you need to use in task 1, right? Occasionally there can be a 5th paragraph. That's what I was saying. The first paragraph will be introduction about the given graph, which contains the description of the graph or the data. Then this information will be given by the IELTS or the examiner or the examining board. But whatever the data is given, don't copy it as it is given. I told you the example the other day. Say, for example, I tell Ashwini is attending the IELTS class from 5th July to 31st July in an online class model. Now, the question is, what is Ashwini doing in the evenings? Now, don't start the sentence with, in the evening, Ashwini. No. That means you are copying the question. You should not copy it. So you change the answer this way. She attends the IELTS coaching classes from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. every day, which commenced on 5th July and would be concluding on 31st July. Nowhere you are mentioning the Ashwini's name here. That was mentioned in the question. So instead of Ashwini, you put a pronoun there. That means she. Is it giving you the clear picture of how to write the sentence?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great, good. Then the next paragraph is all about the overview. That is the main body. That means what all you want to tell about the given information, or how you are going to expand and describe about the given information, right? So this is a very important paragraph as it contains all the key factors. That means all the major informations that you are expanding or describing them, right? Then it is the most vital paragraph. That means a very important paragraph in which you should be very much aware that not to repeat the words. Right? Then it is okay. When we write the task one, give attention towards these couple of things. That is the coherence and the cohesion. Right? So here, what is the coherence and the cohesion? The other day I told you. This is a criteria that is concerned with the overall clarity and the fluency in which you are writing the message. So that when a person reads that paragraph, he or she finds it easy to understand that you have given the description that is well needed for the asked question, right? And then coherence refers to the linking of ideas through logical sequencing or the pronouns and the conjunctions. That means wherever we use this logical, wherever we link one thing with the other, that is where cohesion and the coherence, where I had told you in the tips that you have to give an example. Right? In the lexical resources or LR, it is totally depending upon the vocabulary that you use. That's what I told, not to repeat the words. You should be well versed with the vocabulary. The more vocabulary you know, the more the band you get. That means you should try and learn more synonyms and antonyms to improve our vocabulary. That's one thing. Second thing is read good magazines and the newspapers, especially the editorial columns, to improve your vocabulary, where you come across new sophisticated words. That means new creative words that can be used in your description. So, how does the words they count? The range and the flexibility, then they go for the style, then the collocation, then the level that you are presenting it, and then the precision. So in the vocabulary, what all they would check? That is the spelling. There should not be a spelling mistake. Second thing is the word choice. That's where synonyms and antonyms comes into play. Third is the word formation. How are you forming the word? That means how creative you are. Right? So, for example, how you give the word formation, how you can become from colloquial to formal or informal to formal. I did the chemistry lab today. This is informal. This is colloquial. I did chemistry lab today. This is colloquial or informal. I performed a practical test in the chemistry lab today. Or I performed an experiment in the chemistry lab today. This becomes the formal. Instead of using I did, here you are writing I performed. So both the sentences are giving the same meaning. But whereas when you write it as I performed a lab test, that gives more weightage than I did a lab test. That's what the word formation is. Getting my point clearly, my dear kids?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Then for grammar range accuracy, how you can do this? To have you used a variety of sentence structures? That means, can you convert the structure of the sentence from a simple sentence to a compound sentence, and from a compound sentence to a complex sentence, and vice versa? Can you structure the sentences in both the speeches, that is direct speech and indirect speech? This is called as the variety of framing the variety of sentences. Can you convert a simple present tense into a simple to a perfect tense? That's how. Then, how often you have used the compound structures? That means, how often you are making the compound sentences or the complex sentences or the compound complex sentences. Then, how many mistakes you are done in grammar and punctuation? Punctuation is again another important part in the grammar. Punctuation means using the proper commas, colons, semicolons, hyphens, question marks, quotations, that is inverted comma, single inverted comma, double inverted comma, all these things. These are known as punctuations, how well you use them properly. Right? Now, can all of you take the picture of this? And once taken, please let me know.
Yes, sir. Taken.
Taken, sir.
All of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Shanta?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
very good, very good, very good, beautiful. Okay. Now, this is your assignment for the day. The same thing will be posted on the Classroom, Google Classroom also. You will have to submit this by tomorrow, the Sunday, 11th July, before 2 p.m. so that by evening, I can get back to all of you with the corrections and make you understand where the gap is, how you need to improve those gaps. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
For this, don't break your head. First, I'll give you another tip how to practice this. I have given you how to write the introduction, main body, conclusion, right? So when you write it, first you write the dummy answer, that is the dummy practice, in the language that you have understood the picture here, right? So for this, writing the thing, you would be given a time of about 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes, you have to write this for 150 words. Before you start writing, read the question twice and understand. Right? The question says task 1. No? The question always comes with the instruction. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. Then comes the question. The graph below gives information about Dubai gold sales in 2002. This is the data that is given. What they want you to write is summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So, in Dubai, the gold sales during the year 2002, how it went from January to December. This is what the graph is all telling about. So when you write the introduction, you should say, or you should start by saying, the given graph very clearly explains the sales pattern or the sales range of gold during the year 2002, right? You cannot say, okay, the graph above gives the information. This is what is copying the question. If you start the introduction by saying that instead of below, if you use above, the graph above gives information about Dubai gold sales in 2002. No, then it becomes copying. Then you lose the marks. What do you say? The given graph clearly indicates or tells us or gives a very clear information about the sales pertaining to gold during the year 2002 from January to December in the city of Dubai. That's how you have to expand that. That's what the introduction is. Is that clear? Hello, kiddos.
Yes, sir.
All of you are there or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay. Then you start describing this as it clearly indicates that the sale of gold in the city of Dubai was at $200 million in the month of January 2002. This is from where the main body starts. And we could see a gradual but a consistent hike or a consistent escalation in the sales almost to $225 million. Yeah, you can write increasing also, right? Almost, you see where the dot is for February. You should see at the dot for the month of February where it has gone. So it is somewhere between 250 and 200. It can be either 225 or it can be even, but it is not exactly the middle also. When you see the gap, this is the gap between dot and 250 is more, while compared to dot between the red dot and 200 right? Here it is less. So you can make it as even $210 or $15 also. You can make 225 if it is at exactly the center. Ravi Kumar? But no worries, even you can say around $225 million. Or you can make it as 220 or 210 or 215. No problem. Is it clear?
Yes,
Then
sir.
Yes, sir.
we could see a sudden, you see, we could see a sudden steep hike in the sale for the month of March, which has reached its peak up to $350 million, which reached the peak of touching $350 million in the month of March. From March 2020, the sales of gold in the city of Dubai, then you start writing the second paragraph, because from January to March, you have given one description that was in the increasing order or in the ascending pattern. Now you can see the graph, it is in the descending pattern or in the decreasing pattern. Here, what you do is you write this thing in the next paragraph. So in the next paragraph, how you state, but, or you can say, however, it could be seen from the graph that the sales dropped immensely from March to April, where it reached to from $350 million to $250 million, and the trend continued till the month of July. Now, after explaining April, May, and June, you need not explain at all because it is a continuous trend. So, where it reached the level of $200 million, $150 million, and almost $105 million during the months of April, May, and June, and July. Again, next paragraph. Because again you see a increasing pattern here. So in the next paragraph, we'll start saying, again, from the month of July, there was, or there could be seen that there was a marginal hike or the marginal increment in the sale of gold during the month of August, which touched almost $205 million. Why it is $205 million? You just see the picture very carefully, my dear kids. The dot is not exactly on the bar line. It is a bit above it. Or you can make it as 201 or 202. And suddenly, again, it started dipping in the month of September, which almost reached $110 million. But again, gathered or picked up in the month of October to almost $180 million. And it was static in the month of November to at $180 million and could see a very marginal hike during the month of December, which was nearly $190 million. So, in 2 paragraphs, you are given the overview of it. Then the conclusion part. How you are going to write the conclusion part? The conclusion part you will be writing as it is very clearly seen from the given graph that, or it could be concluded with the given graph that the sales of gold was maximum during the month of March and had reached the bottom or the lowest level or the minimum level, whatever you want to write. Don't write all the 3. And reach the bottom, or you can reach the deck or touch the deck. That is your creative way of writing it. To almost $102 or $105 million, and finally it was static for the last 1 month, that is from November to December, which was almost $180 million. However, the sale of gold had reached its peak from February to March, which was the main month that the gold sellers has made the maximum profit. This is the conclusion. Any doubts here how to write?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All clear
Yes,
or
sir.
head and shoulder? You know the shampoo brand names? All clear and head and shoulder? Whether it is all clear or head and shoulder?
All clear.
All clear. Everything is got cleared off the head, right? Head and shoulder, it is there between this much. It is stored in this gap. The gap that you have between head and the shoulder. Now tell me, what it was the learning? All clear or head and shoulder?
All clears.
All clear. Pooja, it is all clear. It has gone off the head now.
Head and shoulder.
Head and shoulder for Mangala. Okay. Ashwini, what is it for you? Hello, Ashwini. Are you there? Shantala?
Head and shoulder.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Who is saying yes, sir?
Ashwini.
Ashwini, Kanna.
Sir.
Head
Yes,
and
sir.
shoulder or all clear?
Head and shoulder, sir.
Head and shoulder. Shantala, for you. For Ravi Kumar, it is Clinic Plus. Huh? Great. Good boy. Yeah. Shantala, for you, head and shoulder are all clear?
Head and shoulder, sir.
Head and shoulder. Great. Beautiful, my dear kiddos. So, this is what I explained you there, okay, how you go with the things. So, now take the pick of this one.
Taken, sir.
Taken, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, this is your second assignment for the day. For one assignment, I have explained the answer, how we have to write it, how better in the structure we can make it. Right? For this, now, for that I have given you the clues how to write it. First, write a practice on the first one, for which I have explained the entire thing. After that, read this question and understand. Then, submit the answer for this assignment, that is the homework, by 1 p.m. on Monday, that is 12th July. Is that okay? Can you do 2 homeworks?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it not difficult?
No,
No,
sir. So
Huh?
we need to submit both the assignments. I mean, both the essays.
You have to write both the thing. One, you will submit it by 3 p.m. tomorrow. The other one is this one, what you are seeing now on the screen. Okay.
Yes, sir.
This one, you practice on the first one. That is this one. Okay, you practice this and submit it to me by tomorrow, 3 o'clock afternoon. Okay.
Okay, sir.
But this, where it is written, the homework is written, right? This graph, after writing that, practicing on that, you will get to understand how to write it, then understand this question and write the answer for this and submit it to me on Google Classroom by 2 p.m. on Monday. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Easy to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, how you go with the things if you want? Before writing the thing, whatever I have explained, I have summarized it here. What are the key things that you have to keep it in mind while writing the effective writing? When you are writing, whether it is essay writing or a descriptive writing. Right? Take a pic of this and use it. Use concrete rather than vague language or a vague language. Don't use the vague language. That means concrete. That means solid. Means good, strong words you should use. Right? I did the experiment. I performed the experiment. I carried out the experiment. So, I did the experiment becomes a vague language. I performed the experiment or I carried out the experiment becomes the concrete or the strong usage of strong words. Then use active voice whenever possible. Don't use the passive voice. This tip I had given you in the very beginning. Always write the answers in the active voice, not in the passive voice. Avoid overusing there is, there are, it is, it was, or it is seen that, it is observed that. Don't use all those things. Right? Then avoid confusion. Don't use two negatives. That means I don't want to make you not to write this. That means using two negatives. Don't use such things to make it into one positive. Please be descriptive words and phrases as close as is practical to the words they modify. Whenever you use a phrase, see to it that it is in a close relationship with the topic what you are writing or what the word you wanted to write. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, anything else you want to get the tips for that, or you want to know more about the writing task one? Please feel free
So-
to ask. Yes, ma'am.
So we are supposed to give the task to them, but then shall I copy the image and paste it down in Google Docs or anything?
Yeah, same. Yeah, both
Okay.
the images. Just and for the first image, right, which I was explaining now.
Uh-huh.
For that, time duration is tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m.
Okay.
For the second image, on which the homework is written,
Hmm.
that is 2 p.m. on Monday,
Okay. 2 p.m. on Monday and 3 p.m. Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah,
Okay, sir.
right. Yes, my dear kiddos, now unmute yourself. All of you. Okay, how many of you have not submitted the attendance yet?
Submitted, sir.
Submitted.
All. Very good. Beautiful. How many attendance you got, Mitali? Okay, how many of you can come on the camera?
sir.
Let me see your faces so that I can tell to my friends, Arey, I had met this baby when I was taking the IELTS class online. Okay? How many of
Shantala,
you can come on the...
Shanta, please submit your attendance.
Shanta, you are not submitted, beta? Gauri Bidnur. ఏమండి శాంత గారు ఉన్నారా ఇక్కడ?
Sir, doing, sir.
అట్లా గుడ్.
Sir,
బేటా మంగళ.
sir, I have one question. We have submitted last assignment, sir, first assignment. You are telling that you have not received.
Okay, I'll check. Sometimes it might due to some network issues or something like that. I wouldn't have got it on my dashboard in the Google Drive. I'll check it today. No worries.
Okay, sir.
But anyway, I've given the answer for that question today.
Yes, sir.
Is that clear now? When to use may, shall, and can?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, do you make that mistakes?
No, sir.
No. How many of you do make mistakes for those three words? Huh? Pooja, you want to make?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay. Pooja, can you come on camera? I want to ask you a question now. Hello? Pooja,
Yes, sir.
can you come on the camera? Can you unmute your camera? You are sitting in the dark room. In the jail, huh? Okay. What is the major takeaway today that you... What is the major takeaway you had today? Can you... Each one of you one point. And one difficulty that you had today in the class. Quick. Pooja beta,
Sir, no.
where are you from?
Sir, I am from Mandya.
You are from Mandya. Okay. Tell me, what is the major takeaway you had today? ನಿನಗೆ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯಿತು? ಯಾವ್ದು ನಿನಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ಫುಲ್ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು? ತುಂಬಾ ಉಪಯೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು?
Sir, paragraph.
Paragraph writing. Okay. Which is the one thing that you find it difficult to understand today? ಯಾವುದು ನಿನಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು?
Sir, tenses only.
Tenses ಇನ್ನು ಕಷ್ಟ ಇದೆ. Okay, great. Have you taken the pick of the formulas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ajab, I will send you a detailed formula pick by tonight or tomorrow morning, which we will be uploading it on the Google Classroom, which will help you all to clearly understand and frame the sentences comfortably. Will that be okay for every one of you?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Will that help every one of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Mitali ji. Mitali?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will send you one particular PPT in which all the 12 formulas are written in detail. Okay,
Okay, sir. Sure.
just post it on the Google
In the
Classroom.
Google
Okay,
Classroom. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I
Definitely.
will because I'm having a meeting at 7 o'clock and it would end somewhere at 10 o'clock. I will send it to you post 10 o'clock, or I will send it to you early in the morning. You can post it on the Google Classroom.
Okay,
Let the
sir.
children have it. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Fine. Great. Okay then. Okay, kiddos. See you all. Bye bye.
Happy weekend, guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Same to
Thank
you.
you, Bide. Thank you, everyone. So we will meet on Monday.
At the
Okay,
same time.
at the same time, at the same venue.
Yes. Link will be shared in the Google Classroom. I'll be sharing the link. Do not get worried. Okay.
Okay. Okay, kiddos. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Enjoy your weekend.
After doing the assignment,
Yes. Thank you, sir.
or enjoy your weekend by doing the assignment.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.